The reason why I want the books closed because we're going to have a little game now. And in this game, you're not entitled to look at the answers. The way it's going to work, so I'm going to show you the very first one, is I'm going to go through the questions. So I'm going to read, right? And then I'm going to show you slowly. So for instance, someone who lives outside New Jersey can be licensed as a non-resident broker if he or she A, posts a bond for $5,000, B, is a citizen of the United States, C, finds a New Jersey sponsor, or D, consents to be sued in New Jersey. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read it out to you. The idea behind what I'm doing, and I'm only doing in my school, I never did it where I used to teach before. The reason why I'm doing this is to teach you guys how to read. It's not that you don't know the ABCs, it's just that you don't know how to read the questions, how to pause, how to break it down and understand what it is, okay? So I'm going to prove to you your mistakes while reading. Ready? So, this one I already read for you, so I want you guys to tell me what the answer is. D. D. Consent to be sued in New Jersey. Someone in California can have a Jersey license as long as they consent to be sued.
Last.
Happened?
I had an argument outside.
You had an argument outside? You guys okay?
Inspection. She gave me a black eye. About coming back. I remember, so.
Yeah. So I'm doing that, so because I already know you guys are, some of you are not doing, so I'm forcing you. All right. Now, the first rule was that I'm going to read, slowly, pause, explaining, right? Now, the second rule of this game is very easy. And towards the end, we're going to have a totally different game as well. But right now, it's very easy. The first one to raise the answer, the hand, gets the answer. Okay? The one that answers the most will get a prize. The one who answers the least will get a penalty. Is that cool?
Cool.
Yes?
Yes.
Great. Third rule. You cannot answer until I'm done reading D. If you raise your hand before I'm done, I will not account for your answer. You guys got it? Yes?
Yes.
You ready for this?
Let's do this.
All right, awesome. Sorry, I just want to make sure everything's going well. Great. So, question number 2. Remember, we have 4 hours to do the exam. So, by the time that she received her broker's license, Heather had studied real estate for at least A, 75 hours, B, 90 hours, C, 165 hours, or D, 225 hours. Victor.
D.
D, 225 hours. All of you failed the very first part, which is raise your hand before I was done. That's why I didn't account for your answers. The answer is D, 225. Why? Because the question does not say that Heather is already a salesperson. Therefore, she needs to do at least 75 hours plus 150 hours. If the question was, Heather is a salesperson and wants to become a broker, how many hours she has to do? The answer would be 150. Okay? Next, in New Jersey, real estate licenses are administered by A, local board of realtors, B, real estate commission, C, Department of Commerce, or D, Bureau of Subdivided Land Control. All right, Anna. Real Estate Commission. Very good. It is, I know. But you know what? The thing is, sometimes I get to D, right? And you guys go like, oh, I thought it was B, or I thought it was A. The idea is to get you guys to slow down. 4, the authorized broker for a real estate company is officially called A, the broker salesperson, B, realtor, C, supervisor, or D, broker of record. Wow. Just keep your hand down. Dante, go.
Broker record.
Broker of record. Great. You guys got to time it. Come on. You get too excited. And I'm going to show you something. In the first like 5 or 6 questions, everybody is eager to raise a hand. When we get to the last questions of this, they're like, that's not that easy. All right, 6. No, 5. There you go. The licensing fee for a beginning salesperson, including application fee, criminal history check, and guarantee fund is A, $75, B, $160, C, $270, or D, $288. So, Virginia?
B.
B, $160 to activate your license, which includes the application, criminal history check, and the guarantee fund. 6, a broker may agree to share commission with A, any licensed salesperson, B, a mortgage broker, C, a friend who refers a seller, or D, any licensed broker. Dante?
A.
And
D.
D, any licensed broker. See, any licensed salesperson, that means that you could pay somebody else's agent. If you work for Weichert, right, and an agent from Remax brings a buyer, can you pay that agent directly? No. So a broker can only split commission with his own associates or with another broker if it's cooperative listing. Got it? 7, brokers must deposit clients or customers' deposits in a separate bank account for each person's money, the broker's business account, not a personal account, a trust account or escrow account, or D, the broker's file with the real estate commission. Adam. C, trust or escrow account. Good. 8, a licensed salesperson is allowed to prepare a sales contract for a shopping plaza, 1 family to 4 family residents, any real estate, or single houses only. Louder? 1 family to 4 family residences. You have your hand up?
I'm about to say that's really real.
Yeah, it's really real.
I thought it would have been C.
Any real estate? Can we prepare contracts for commercial?
Yes.
Nope.
Why not?
We prepare a letter of intent. Attorneys prepare the contracts. True. You guys got it?
But in that case, we don't do the contract either. We do opinion 26s.
No, because the contract, what you fill out becomes a contract. It's different. And the attorneys just review what's already prepared. The commercial, a full contract is drafted from scratch.
Okay.
It's different. So the real estate contracts for residential are standard for 1 to 4. We just fill in the blanks. And it becomes the contract. Okay? All right. 9. Continuing education requires how many classroom hours? A, 12. B, 14. C, 16 for salespeople and 4 for brokers. Or D, none for long-time brokers who are exempted. Lauren?
A.
12 hours of continuous education. Yeah, perfect.
Excellent.
Yep. Now,
She already passed. She answered.
like I said, the first few questions, everybody raises their hand. A broker who mixes personal funds with funds in the trust account is guilty of A, revocation, B, guilty knowledge, C, escrow, or D, commingling.
D.
D, the Chinese word commingling. Very good. And Louis raised it for like a split second between them. I'm going to show you something right now. If I'm looking like this, even though my peripheral is amazing, if you just do this, it's very difficult. Let's do some exercise. Raise your hand. Okay? It's a lot easier. 11. Even though I noticed he went like this as he was raising his hand. All sales contracts prepared by licensees must contain A. Attorney General memorandum against discrimination. B. Contain the notice to the buyer and seller. C. Contain the waiver of broker cooperation form. Or D. Mention the buyer's purchase of insurance. Read it. And B as in boy. A is for listings. Every listing must say to the seller, you can't not discriminate. But B says that every contract must include the option 26, which is a notice to the buyer and seller. This is how I now represent you as a sales agent, buyer's agent, disposal agent, or transaction broker. So the key word here was sales contract. If it said listings, then A would be correct. If it says sales contract, then B is the correct answer. Make sure you guys are writing down these answers so you can review later. Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
12. Any changes to a document after initial signing should be A. Initialed by all parties. B. Filed in public records. C. Okayed by the broker of record. Or D. Submitted to the parties' attorneys. Jimmy? A. Any changes to a contract must be initialed or signed by all parties. Okay? 13. A licensee working as a transaction broker serves as an agent for. You're a transaction broker. You serve as an agent for A. The buyer. B. The seller. C. The real estate commission. Or D. No one. Louis? D. No one. Raise your hand before I was done. So D. No one. Louis got it. Okay. What happened?
Transaction brokers, the key.
Yep. And they trick you because they say transaction broker serves as agent for. So they're telling you he or she is an agent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they're creating something that doesn't exist to trick you. But transaction broker does not represent anyone. 14. A broker salesperson may sponsor an applicant for a salesperson license, work as a salesperson under supervision of another broker, collect his or her own real estate fees, or act as the broker of record. Victor. B as in boy. A broker salesperson is somebody that qualifies to become a broker but chooses to work under the salesperson capacity under the supervision of another broker. Good? Great. Easy question so far. Losing land by erosion, this is chapter 5. Losing land by erosion is the opposite of gaining land through A. Avulsion, B. Accretion, C. Reliction, or D. The weird word hereditary. B. Accretion, because accretion is an addition or increase in land. Good. By the way, for anybody that thinks it's not fair what I'm doing, pretty soon we're going to have a buzzer. I'm working on it. No, seriously, like Jeopardy, like go for it. First light up, and that's it.
I got the sniffle ones. That's easy. Or
Yeah, but then we hear a lot of that's easy.
right.
How am I going to know which one was the first?
They'll go all bumped up to exam. That's easy.
All right, 16. Personalty is also known as real property, littoral rights, trade fixtures, or chattels. Okay, fight between the two of you.
Channel.
Chattels D? Okay, D chattels. That's it.
Channels.
Why? Because I told you to remember chattels is
Movable. Personal.
movable. and it's personal property. Anything that's movable is personal property. You don't remember that one? I told you guys to think of cattle. Cows, right? Because cows move. Okay, whatever works. 17. Real property can be changed to personal property through a process known as A. Severance, B. Accession, C. Conversion, or D. Alluvion.
Conversion?
Nope.
A.
A. Severance. Sever means to cut. So if I take the sheetrock that's here and I cut it, take it out, it becomes now personal property because it's movable. Okay? (18) Intent of the parties and method of attachment are two of the tests of A. Chattel, B. Fixture, C. Trade fixture, or D. Improvement. Ooh, hands are slowing down now. Go ahead. Say louder. And say louder. B as in boy. Fixture. That's why I asked again. Which one did you say? Fixture. The legal tests of a fixture are 4. And I told you to remember the acronym MARIA. First one, method of attachment. Right? The relationship of the parties, the intent of the party annexing the item, and the adaptation of the article. This is still chapter 5, right at the end. Last thing we did. So if you want to put a note, check chapter 5. 19. Trade fixtures, they differ from regular fixtures in that they are, so trade fixtures are tools of the trade, so business, right? They're different from regular fixtures in that they are A, removable, B, permanently affixed, C, property of the landowner, or D, considered part of real estate. A, they're removable. See, when you open up a business, the landlord already knows you're going to install stuff. And they allow you automatically to remove it before the end of the lease. And that's the difference from regular fixtures. Light fixtures are real property, belong to the land. Trade fixtures are personal property, belong to the business. Even though they're fixed, they're removable. Yes?
No, I read one question that they dropped the construction material in front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Was that part of the
That's personal property.
that personal property? Because I think it was in an addition in the house. They come over and they dumped the woods.
The question is it permanently attached already?
No.
Is it just laying on the floor?
Yeah.
Is it movable?
Yes.
It's on the floor, it's movable, right? Therefore, chattel. Therefore, personal property. That's the difference. Once it's permanently attached to the building, it becomes real property. Okay? If it's on the floor and it's loose, it's something that can be picked up and moved around, right? Let's say I put this on the floor. It's the same thing. Can I pick it up and move it and put it somewhere else? Then it's personal property. Okay? Quick question, just to relate to that. Everybody has a car, right? Is it on the floor? The wheels are, right? It's stopped right now, but it's still movable. That's the key. It doesn't matter if it's in your hand or if it's somewhere parked. The fact that it's movable, it's what makes a difference. All right. Tom's attorney assures him that no one else has claim to the real estate that Tom is buying and that he has a complete bundle of rights in the property. Tom is receiving A, fee simple estate, B, leasehold estate, C, life estate, or D, fee determinable estate.
A.
A. It's simple. You have full rights. Nobody else can claim it. Right? We have three options: fee simple, fee determinable, or life estate. In this scenario, fee simple. It's yours, simple, nobody can claim it. Okay? Do you guys notice how I read the questions? How I break it down? Okay? Isn't it easier when you go one by one as well? Okay. Now we're going to trick you. All these questions until now, easy. Now we're going to level 2, warming up. Donna deeds her vacation cottage to her elderly uncle. That means transferred to the uncle, conveyed to the uncle, yes?
Yes.
With the provision that at his death, Donna will automatically become the owner again. So, uncle, when you die, property's mine again. During his lifetime, Donna owns what? Remainder interests, reversionary interests, life estates, or dower estates.
D.
B, reversionary interest. Dower and courtesies between husband and wife.
That's right.
This is the uncle. Unless we're in a certain state, they're not allowed to have anything consensual. Now, what were you saying? It reverts back, reversionary interest. Who thought it was C, life estate? Who thought it was A? You thought it was C?
I thought it was C.
You know why? Because you're thinking about the uncle. The question is, Donna, the seller has reversionary interest because it will revert. If the question was, that's why I wanted to ask what I just asked. Because if the question was, during his lifetime, the uncle owns a, right? If it's addressing the uncle, then he has a life estate. Because the property is his as long as he lives, right? But they're asking about Donna. So all it takes is you not reading it properly, a comma sometimes, or in fact, the Donna was there, not read it properly and they answered the wrong thing, right? And the remainder interest could never be, because remainder would be for a third party, not involved in the transaction. Okay? 22. A mortgage is a type of general lien, encroachment, voluntary lien, or license. Hannah. Just because I said license, you went C? But yes, voluntary lien. It is voluntary because you asked for the mortgage. You didn't want it, but there was no other way to pay for it, so let me get some financing. So voluntary. Okay? Level 3. If a husband owns the family home in his own name, he can sell it without the wife's signature if he bought it before they were married, he bought it before May 28, 1980, his wife owns property of equal value in her own name, or they live in some other state but not in New Jersey. Dante.
B.
D as in David. In the state of New Jersey, if it's the primary residence, if it's the family home, it belongs to both. Therefore, a signature is always necessary. If it was another property, an investment property owned by the husband alone, different story. Now we would look at before May 28, 1980 or after May 28, 1980. But the fact that it's the family home, and I told you guys this when we were going over the chapter 5 still, because it's the family home, no matter what, it belongs to both. It could be under my name, but it belongs to both. Marital residence. Got it? Questions? Good. 24. If a parcel of real estate has 2 mortgages on it, priority is given to the one first, A, drawn up, B, signed, C, notarized, or D, recorded? Lauren. D, recorded. So it's not when you prepare the contract, it's when you record that contract. Priority goes by date of recording. And question. In a foreclosure, who gets paid first? Taxes. Always. Always. Okay? Then is whoever recorded first. Okay. The term conveying property means having it surveyed, transferring ownership, mortgaging it, or tacking usage. Dante.
B.
B. Conveyance means transfer, therefore transferring ownership. Okay. Not bad. We're halfway. We're only doing 50 questions today, don't worry. Not the whole exam. Now, ownership of real estate by one person alone is known as severalty, tenancy in common, survivorship, or sole proprietorship. Okay. A, severalty. If it's one owner, it's severed from everybody else, so severalty. I'm sorry, I'm not counting any of yours because you're just doing this. Raise your hand. But still, both of them raised before you did. And then Lewis went slowly like.
Because I got penalized.
It's like maybe when he notices my hand up there, it's by the time he finishes. So. 27. The buyer of a condominium apartment receives what? This is fresh, you guys should know. A proprietary lease, individual property tax bill, stock that is considered personal property, or a life estate. Go.
B, an individual.
Individual property tax bill. If it's a condominium in your own financial entity, so individual tax bill, individual mortgage, insurance, everything. The only thing you share is the HOA fees for common elements. What if the question said co-op? What do you get?
C.
N?
B.
A. You get stock in the company, and you get a proprietary lease that allows you to occupy your space in the co-op. You said B. Individual property tax bill would not be, because in co-ops we share the tax bill for the building. Okay? Is this good? All right, level 4. Mr. and Mrs. Brown. They buy a home together soon after they're married, right? You get married, you buy a house, everything's amazing. But they did not specify anything in the deed about their ownership. Mr. Brown, who paid for the house, was killed in a car crash. Mrs. Brown now owns the whole house only if Mr. Brown left his half to her in the will. Nothing because she furnished none of the purchase price herself. The whole house in severalty, or half with the children owning the other half.
C.
Correct answer is C as in Charlie. The whole house in severalty. Why? Because they were tenants by the entirety. It's house that they purchased together. Okay, so the heirs don't get anything. There's a right of survivorship. Was that the answer everybody had?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Not bad. Was it the murdering portion that gave it away?
Definitely.
And if he bought it prior, it was their
Ticks.
primary residence,
Then it's different.
then
If it's primary residence, automatically will qualify as well.
goes to her, yeah.
Primary residence only. Now, 29. Either co-owner may go to court and ask that the property be divided or partitioned, except in the case of tenants in common, joint tenants, life tenants, or tenants by the entirety? Ooh, this took a little bit longer. Yes. D. You think or are you sure? You
It
think?
is.
Are you sure? Because that's the same thing he's thinking.
You think
D.
that way? We
Tenants.
like-
Tenants by the entirety. Because it's tenants by the entirety is between husband and wife. And the husband and wife cannot sue each other to separate the assets. The only lawsuit between the husband and wife is called divorce. Perfect. So tenants in common, joint tenants, and so on, you can sue the other party. Tenants by the entirety, no. That's why it says except that big letter. Perfect. Not bad, not bad. All right. Level 5. You guys ready? The Smiths bought their home on the ocean. It's a floating house. It doesn't say by the ocean, it says on the ocean. That's why I always say this. They bought their home on the ocean back in 1954, and they bought it for $17,000. This year, they decided to move to Florida, a different type of ocean. And they sold the house for $325,000. There's a lot of money here to be made, right? The IRS says that their profit will be taxed as ordinary income, taxed at favorable capital gain rates, subject to tax on only $75,000, or completely free from any federal tax. Go.
D.
D as in David. Completely free. Why?
Because they lived there, it was their home.
It was their home.
No, because they can't claim.
No. One, it was their home immediately.
Right.
And the other portion is what you're about to say. They can claim up to $500,000.
So on the fourth, they put individual.
So if you were going to answer something else, because 325 minus 17, right, it's more than $250,000. But because it says the Smiths, they're married, right?
Yeah.
And it's their primary home. So the exclusion is up to $500,000, as we learned this morning, right? Yes? Perfect. New Jersey offers partial exemptions from property taxes to eligible veterans, single mothers, government employees, or widows.
A.
Veterans. Right? You guys good? Thirty-two. A special assessment is a form of property tax used to pay, ready? A deficit in the town or county's budget, one-time tax on transfer of real estate, building fund for a school or library, or improvement like sidewalks in a certain area. Anna.
D.
D as in David. Public improvements. Special assessments is the same as public improvement tax. Okay? All right. Calculators. It says right here, Jerry's home is worth $160,000, and his town assessments run at 60% of market value. That means the assessed value, what the town's going to tax on, is 60% of the sales, right? The value. If the tax rate is 37 mils, I already showed you this before. If the tax bill or rate is 37 mils, how much is his property tax bill? Do the calculation. I'm not showing you the answers on this one. you got to figure out first what is 60% of it. Then you apply the rate. If you have an iPhone, it might give you different results. Right? You guys ready? Yes? Great. Is it A, $592? Is it B, $2,368? Is it C, $3,552? Or D, $5,920? Lauren? C, $3,552. Did everybody get this?
Can we go with that formula again? It's 160.
So, we said that the property value was 160,000, right? That's fair market value. Then we said, that the rate or the assessment is 60%. So, assessment, 60%. And then the rate was 37 mils. Right? So the first thing to do is figure out what is 60% of 160,000. So I'm going to make it simple right here. Then when we get to math, I'll give you different ways. But 60% is what you need to figure out. And that is how much? Excuse me. Sorry. It's in the screen. Huh? 96,200. So the 96,000 is called assessed value. Okay? The next thing we have is figure out what 37 mils represents. If a mil is 1/1000 of a dollar, then 37 mils is 0.037. Okay? I showed you this before how to do it. You just 0.001 times the 37. That's what it will give you. So now that we know the value, the assessed value for tax purposes, we multiply by 0.037. And the result is 3552. Good? Don't stress about it so much if you haven't figured it out. Again, we have a chapter just for math. I don't stop too much in these things here because I like to move forward and then dedicate that in that particular chapter. Okay? You guys good? Okay, great. So, next question, 34. The lien with priority on the given parcel of real estate would usually be, and pay attention, would usually be A, mortgage recorded 5 years ago, mortgage recorded this year, the current year's property taxes, or a judgment filed 4 years ago. C, current year's property taxes. A lot of people get stuck here in this type of question because of the word current. If it's current, then it's paid, right? No issues. But all it says is current year, this year's tax bill. There's an open tax bill that gets paid first, okay? Then it would be the 5 years ago, then it would be the 4 years ago, then it would be this year. You guys got it? 35. This is chapter 4, redlining. Redlining is defined as steering home seekers to a particular neighborhood drawing red lines on a local map indicating where the agent wants to look for listings, denying or restricting loans in a certain neighborhood, or a zoning procedure. Dante. C. Every time you see redlining, I told you to write refusing or rejecting mortgage or insurance. Okay, so every time you see rejection or denying, that's what it is. 36. If you guys don't know this, the Civil Rights Act of 1866 prohibits any discrimination based on race and color, prohibits discrimination in federally funded housing, allows an exception for an owner-occupied two-family house, or does not apply to non-licensed persons. The answer is A. Why? Because 1866, you should automatically think of race and color. 37. Federal civil rights legislation forbids housing discrimination based on political affiliation, source of income, country of origin, or prison record. Victor? C. You have to raise your hand before answering. But C is the correct answer, country of origin. That was added in 1968 with the Federal Fair Housing Act of 1968. 38. This is a game. If you don't raise your hand, you're not getting the right answer. Although a property owner may be exempted sometimes from discrimination laws, a real estate licensee, you guys, is exempt only if he or she is also the owner, can list property for sale noting the exemption, can advertise the noted exemption, or may not participate in any transaction in any way. D. Even though there's exemptions for homeowners, the fact that you're licensed, that's it. All right? So Anna's the only one that's going to be able to do it because she's not becoming a salesperson, right? You know what she said the other day?
No, I said you have to think twice.
No. You said I'm thinking twice. You don't say you have to. You said I'm thinking twice. You clearly said that you intend to discriminate. Remember, chapter 1, I said evidence of good moral character. So I, as the director of the school, can reject your application to become a salesperson because I know she intends to discriminate. Anyway. All right, using scare tactics regarding the possible change in the makeup of a neighborhood while soliciting for listings is called, the moment you see scare tactics, you should know already what this is. A, redlining. B, steering. C, blockbusting. Or D, harassment. That's it. Blockbusting is the answer. Scare tactics, so panic peddling or blockbusting mean exactly the same. Okay, that's still chapter 4. All right. Mrs. Townsend is advertising for a tenant for the other half of her home. Which of these ads would violate fair housing laws? No pets, no smokers, no children, or none of the above. C. We can never say no children, right? Why? Because the only exemption for no children is senior, 55 plus or 60 or older. Okay. Next, 41. Which of the following is permitted under the Federal Fair Housing Act? It's asking about federal, not state. Federal. Which one is allowed? Advertising a property for sale suitable for a special ethnic group. Altering the terms of a loan for a member of a minority race. Refusing to sell a home to a foreign-born home seeker because of poor credit history. Or telling nervous owners in a changing neighborhood to sell before their houses lose value. You didn't raise. And what is that? Just answer. You cannot do this in the state exam. In the state exam, you're in a cubicle and be like, hey, C. Can't do that. C is allowed. We can refuse to sell a home to a foreign-born home seeker. Not because they're foreign-born, but because they have poor credit history. And that was the trigger. Like, none of these are valid if it wasn't for the credit. Because credit or income, we're always allowed to discriminate. Now, in the state exam, discrimination questions are the trickiest ones. And I guess you can tell why. Right? The way they put it, none of these will go. They just throw stuff there to distract you. Next, 42. We're almost done. New Jersey law against discrimination adds to protected classes under federal fair housing law. Ready? A. Members of political parties. People with prison records. Welfare recipients. Or marital status. New Jersey law against discrimination adds to protected classes. A, B, C, or D. B. And really, people with prison records? They're protected? No, anybody that poses a threat to the health or safety of others is not protected. D as in David. New Jersey added, I even showed you, I zoomed in on the table, they added marital status as protected class. Welfare is there also, but it's not stated in New Jersey law against discrimination. It's part of New Jersey rules, somebody on welfare or children in the family, but it's not specifically stated in the New Jersey law against discrimination. 43. For someone specifically retained, look at the question, because there's a lot of these in the state exam. For somebody specifically retained as a buyer's broker, that means they represent who? The buyer. The seller will be in the position of A, client, B, principal, C, customers, or D, employers. Dante. C as in Charlie. C as in Charlie. You can say all of them. I think it was Z. But C, they're customers. Look how I read it. I read it for you guys. I told you the answer before getting to the answers. I said someone specifically retained as buyer's broker. So who do you represent?
Buyer.
That means that the buyer is your client, your principal, your employer. The seller is the other party. The person you never represent is called a customer. You got it? If the question was, which one of these or all of these, but if you're representing the buyer, right, then it would be all of them except C. You got it? So these are variables of the question. There's a lot of these in the state. Because you have to know who you owe specific duties to. Who do you really represent? Now, a broker's principal, we just did this as well, is the one who A, pays the commission, B, is the seller, C, hires the agent, Or D, brings about the meeting of the minds? No hands? Okay. One hand? And a broker's principal. Who is the principal? It's who you represent. So a broker's principal is the one who
Hires the agent.
hires the agent. Hello? It was right here. The principal, right? Because somebody specifically retains, that means